Yeah, thank you so much for staying with us and welcome to the main interview segment of New Dawn. Out of 1,950,726 candidates that sat for West African Senior School Certificate Examination, 1,200,514 met the benchmark for admissions into higher institutions. So that's the headline this morning, and we'll be reviewing what does the number mean for the education sector, for Nigerian students, for our schools, and for the future of education in Nigeria. And we have two yes, gentlemen in the studio. Dr. Peter Ogunkola, Ogunkole, I beg your pardon, a school administrator. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming. And Dr. Kayode Adewale, an educationist. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Well, I'm not doing this alone. Taiwo is also ready for action.
Good morning, Nigerians, and welcome to the studio. Guests. Let me start with Dr. Peter Ogunkunle. Now, there's been talking about this WAEC integrity and some of these issues that is making the news concerning WAEC. Let's start with the integrity of the newly released 2026 WAEC Wassce results. What do you make out of it? Let me to start with. Let's hit the road. So, what do you really make out of it? If you are okay with it, if you think some of the agitations, reservations, and complaints by parents and administrators are valid.
Yeah, thank you so much, and once again, good morning, everyone. Yes, the complaints are very valid. I'm also one of the stakeholders. I happen to be a school a school proprietor, and this fourth year of presenting students for West African Seniors Secondary Certificate exam. And when this year's result came out, specifically it was announced it was going to come out on Monday, August 4th. Maybe because of congestion on the portal, we could not get our students to check their result until 6th, which was Wednesday. And the very first student that checked happened to be our very best student. And when I saw the result, my initial reaction was definitely something is wrong. Here is a student who in the previous GCE exam, for example, scored A1 in mathematics. And in the released 2026 WASC result, now I know I can say he was given D7. I said, no, this cannot be. This is somebody who scored close to 300 in JAM, got 80 in mathematics specifically. And I said, no, this is not this boy's result. I was so confident of it, not because of even the previous result he has had, but because this is a student that has been with us right from primary school, has been a very brilliant student. And so I waited till others checked theirs. And in some subjects which traditionally, I mean, our students do extremely well, marketing, economics, civics, these are general courses, straight subjects, and I mean, we have always recorded A1 in all these subjects. And here I'm having students getting E8, D7. Immediately I knew something must have gone wrong. While reflecting on what could have gone wrong, I told you this is the fourth set of candidates in my school that we are presenting for WASC, and this is the very first time we will be sitting for CBE, computer-based exam, because in the months leading to this particular exam, WAEC rolled out the conditions and requirements for schools to comply with in terms of to be able to start the CBE. Initially, with the conditions they gave, my school thought that, oh, look, I mean, it's too early for us. We cannot. It was not mandatory. It was highly recommended, but they gave us some time to be able to put the instructors, the systems in place. Initially, I said, no, They sent a message to all of us, asked us to give the number of systems we've got and all that. And because we've always had a computer room, we felt that we could upgrade our computer room. We told them the number of systems we've got and what we needed to do. And so we thought we were still going to do paper exam. Until a few weeks, they said, okay, from what we submitted, if we would just put a few things in place, we could be certified as CBT, as a computer-based test center. And so we had to rally around, put the money together, and we're able to get our computer-based exam facility together. More so, we have much more systems than the number of students that we had already registered for the exam. So when I came, they certified it, and this was the first time we would do CBE. So that was the first thing that occurred to me, that could there be something wrong with the CBE process? I could not know exactly, but from our own end, there was no problem during the exam at all. We were able to upload, download the questions, upload, the results. We followed all the procedures, and of course, there was somebody on Wassce side. We have very good relationship with the office here in Abeokuta, even with the branch controller. So whenever we run into any challenge, he's always there to make sure we quickly get on top of it. So the system worked quite very well in terms of downloading the questions, uploading the result, the test answers and all that. There was no problem at all. But when this result came, that was the first thing that occurred to me, that this is the first set of our students, and this is the worst result we would ever have. More so, knowing the capability, the performance of our students, I was certain. So immediately I sent to the branch controller, which I told you we have a very good relationship with. He was also taken aback. Of course, he was saying that something must have gone wrong and all. No, he didn't acknowledge something went wrong, but he said, as at that time he could not tell. He said, okay, if you are so sure that this is not your student, he'll write us. Immediately I wrote an official letter through the branch controller, to the branch controller. I sent to the recommended email address. The letter was acknowledged, but we are still expecting the feedback. I requested that I would like Wassce to please look at the script. I suggested that could there be a glitch in the computer process, the handshaking of information, downloading and uploading, could there be a problem? And I cited clear case of students and the result they have got in GCE and also JAMB, and how this particular result is totally misaligned, incongruent with the performance of the students that we have observed.
I've had similar complaints from
proprietors, from some proprietors, alleging grading anomalies.
Yeah.
But we'll still come to that anyway. Now, Dr. Adewale, 61.54 or 50% success rate. A drop, yes, that's a 1.42% drop, compared to the 2025 results. So, is the drop worrisome or insignificant?
Well, thank you very much. Let me first of all appreciate the viewers at home and for also inviting me to come in. Firstly, I would like to first of all try to correct some little impression. There was a little bit misconception, and that's why I said we need to be very careful of the language we use, especially from parents. We cannot just conclude that probably Wassce deliberately marked these people down. We can't just say that. What we have is just a decline in the proportion of the candidates. Of course, when we talk about this benchmark, we're actually talking about the higher education potential of the student. That is, those students that has what it takes to gain admission into a tertiary institution. I take my time to look at the analysis done by the head of the Nigerian National Office of the West African Examination Council, that's Dr. Amos. And I compare the result of 2025 with that of 2026. And that was the reason why I conclude that it is just a decline. When we look at 2025, now the total numbers of the students registered is 1,973,365. And that of 2026, that is 1,959,668, which means there is a little change, and that change is around 13,006. I think that may be as a result of probably what has been happening around and other people having other options to take other from the other examining body. Yeah. Then when we look at the higher education potential, because I'll be using higher education potential as an educator, that's what we know. Because when we talk about higher education potential, that is the required grade that you must have to gain admission into tertiary institution. That means you must have at least 3 of your past 3 courses or 3 subjects in your area of specialization, plus mathematics and English. And then when we look at it, like I said, the percentage, just like you have quoted, is for 2025, that is 62.96%. Then that of 2026, that's 61.54%, which means there's a decline of 1.42%. And I think there is a lot of factors that may be responsible for this. Like Dr. Abrightly said, which I want to be a little bit digress from this. You know, like I said, there may be a lot of factors responsible for this. One of it is the learning gap. If you recall vividly, you will see that this set of students that wrote this 2026 West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination, Wassce, they're actually the set of students that gain admission into GSS1 during COVID-19. If I'm right, if you can just look at the analysis. So you know what could have played out during that period. This time around, I'll be talking more for public school, you know, because I was much familiar with the students in the public school. I was once a registrar of a school, and also by God's grace, I'm the Ogun State Education Ambassador. So I know what it takes for these students. So like I said, the learning gap could be one of the causes. Then also when we look at the effect, you know, the learning effect of the COVID-19, people shifting from our conventional ways of learning, you know, to 21st century ways of learning. These students now have access to different platforms to learn this and that, and there's a lot of distraction here and there for them as well online. Those are those things that I think will actually be the causes. Then, like Dr. Abrightly said, the shift also to the computer-based testing can also be one of those causes as well. Then, if I also look at it now, the issues of the examination malpractice as well. You know, from that analysis, I also try to look at the percentage with head for examination malpractice. In 2025, it was 9.75%. But when we look at it in 2026, that is 8.59%. That means there is little change. So that means WAEC might have put in some mechanism in place to checkmate the exam malpractice in some of our schools. I'm not, to be specific now, when we come to Ogun State, because I will speak more for Ogun State, we have the education-friendly governor, and by God's grace, we have the right man who is in charge of the job. That's the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Professor Abayomi Adelaja Aribagu. He's a fellow of the Mathematical Association of Nigeria, which is also one of the core subjects that will determine, you know, the benchmark for you to gain admission into tertiary institution. There's a lot of mechanisms they put in place, which I believe by the time they come up with their own higher education potential, you will see that there will surely be an increase in the performance of the student comparing to what we have been hearing from here and there.
All right. Still with Dr. Adewale. Now, you mentioned that maybe a shift to the CBE also could be attributed to the decline. Well, I want to also ask, do you think maybe WAEC has a new grading system or process, or do you also believe there's grading system? Because a lot of parents, people are calling for transparency, questioning the grading system, asking for transparency, and the mode at which they arrive at these marks, which cause decline for bad grades for some students. Do you also think that grading this time is a problem? I don't know. Just like Doctor said, he has written to WAEC about this. We don't know whether they have a new grading. I don't know. But do you also consider this as a factor, possibly a factor that could cause this decline?
Well, thank you very much. What I know much about grading is, the time we normally use the conventional, in the process of marking, there will be what we call coordination, there will be this and that. And some of these examiners, they are seasoned educators, experienced, educators that mark this exam. And then from there, it goes to the WAEC level. So at WAEC level, as for me, I do not know the grading system they were using, but I think WAEC as one of the most examining body that we so much have confidence in. And they have been doing this for numbers of, for decades of years, and there have never been any complaint. So if there is anything, like Dr. Abradley said, there should be, the right step is for you as a school, is to write them, and then if there's a way you can call for the paper, check it, and some other things like that. So for the grading to say, I'm not really sure if that could be one of the factors responsible for the decline in this. I think we need to review some of those things, and then probably if we can have access to WAEC website or some other things like that, they might have continued giving an update based on the agitation of people that probably they mark the student down, this and that. So on the issues of the grading, like I said, I'm not sure it's one of the factors, and I'm very sure WAEC is competent and they have been doing this for decades of years.
Well, this CB, do you think we rush into it because if we're having it and we have this decline and a lot of parents are complaining, even school administrators, do you think these young ones are really ready for this CB? Doctor mentioned it that they visited, I don't know when, possibly was it a year before the exam, 6 months?
Just about 3 weeks to the
3
exam.
weeks to the exam, which
certify that the systems
are working. Of course, when we look at the computer-based examination, as an evaluator, I'm talking from the end of this as an evaluator now. When you look at computer-based examination, is something, especially children of these days, they are digital native.
Yeah, sure.
This is what they know to do best. But there's a little way that parents just have to put some factors into consideration. Most of these students, they were conversant with, all these are smartphones, not the system they will use to write the examination. I'm sure if doctor is trying to, when we look at them, most of them, they were so much used to smartphone, pressing smartphone, using them. So as a school,
scrolling as well.
Yes, scrolling and wiping, do all sorts of things like that. In fact, sometimes there was a time I went for a teacher's interview with Nigerian Bureau, and they were actually asking me some questions that what do you think can be one of the solutions that we can provide to Nigerian education? I said, of course, there is a distraction everywhere. Sure. Distraction on social media. When we look at the social media today, for every 10 contents you view, you hardly see 3 out of them that are educative content. So which is also one of those factors that is causing distraction for the students, for the so-called digital native. So I was now propounding a theory that what if we teachers, for instance in Ogun State now, presently we have 517 secondary school in Ogun State. I was able to know this because I do a lot of training for teachers, and I was able to get some data.
You mean public schools?
Yes, for public schools. Likewise, for private schools, we have over, if not over 2,000 private schools we have in Ogun State. Ogun State has the largest private schools in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that is why we pride ourselves as the education capital of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So when we look at it from that angle, I was trying to propound a theory that, okay, what if educators or teachers in our respective schools decided to start creating content for this digital native? Let's say, for instance, now I'm taking public school, for instance, 517 secondary school. Let's say 10 teachers are trying to do something around that. 10 multiplied by 517 will give us 5,170, isn't it? Multiplied by 36 states, including the federal capital territory. You know what it will look like online. So that means for every content those students have. So we also have our own problem as an educator, because there are some ways we need to save these children out of some of these things. So come back to the issues of computer-based examination. There is still need for retraining of these children to get conversant or to get used on how to make use of this computer of a thing in answering the exam. Of course, many of them, there is no way they will still make use of it by the time they want to go and write the what is it called? The tertiary matriculation examination. So,
but that's not the choice. That's easier, at the JAM level, because I'm looking at theoretical questions. Why when you have to type, but for UTME, you just
it's still portraits around that they still need to do a kind of what is it called, sensitization for these children. They may know how to use all the smartphone to type. If you give them some document to type for you, you will see the way their hands will be fasting. And of course, don't forget that there are also artificial intelligence tools that can also suggest right word for them on that, which will not be on that of whatever system they provide for them for the West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination. So there is still need for that. Likewise, the teachers as well need to be trained. For us in Ogun State, majority of our teachers have been trained. Just of recent, I think over 1,000 teachers were trained in Ogun State, and they were giving over 750 something laptop for those teachers that participate in what we call Progressive Mathematics Initiative and Progressive Science Initiative. So, however, we still need more training for our teachers, just to make sure that they put these children on the right path to know how to answer questions and this and that. And likewise, sensitization can also come from WAEC. What did WAEC need from school? What did they need from the student? You know, to be smart and to answer questions faster on these computer-based examinations. Just like the way they provided the theory during the papers and pencil period, there is something we call constraint paper. Before, you just keep writing, asking your question. At a point, they come up with what we call constraint paper. They give them a limited space. When you are asked what is economics, you have a limited space where you can put the definition of economics so that you don't keep writing and the like. So those are those things we think we can put into consideration, and it will better the education system.
Dr. Ogunkole, CBE. I know it may not be a big problem for private schools. Like you said, that your school was ready, despite the short period of time you improved the computer room and you got your students ready. But for public schools, they may still need some time to adapt, to get more computers and all of that. So do you think CBE should be suspended for now? Because if some students are using computer, they make use of CBE, while others still make use of the manual way of writing examinations. This disparity, does it call for a review?
There's no problem with, on the part of students writing CBE. Even the CBE we are talking about with Wassce now, is not fully computer-based. It is hybrid. Only those subjects that have objectives, that's when they will use, and it's pretty much similar to what they used in UTME. I know UTME is fully multi-choice questions. Even with Wassce now, it's still hybrid in the sense that the theory part of every exam is still paper. Okay? So it's only those subjects where the right objective that is fully computer, and there is nothing much they are doing than just multiple choice. There are little boxes, you just click, just the way they wrote UTME. And what we are saying is that the same student who sat for UTME and scored very well, now we are getting very bad results. From those subjects. There are other subjects which are probably do not have any challenge with, that the result is consistent with the performance of the students. So my point is that on the part of the student, we can't talk about training. These students, I told you, is our computer room that we upgraded to what WAEC wanted. So we've always done computer-based, they are very, like you said, they are digital natives. Clicking is not a problem for them. So I believe very strongly, since we are looking at what may have gone wrong, I believe very strongly that it must have to do with the handshaking of information between WAEC server and the respective school servers. I believe there is some kind of glitch that happened in the process. And this is the reason why I believe so. Last year, 2025 Wassce, and I believe Dr. Adewale will also bear me witness, there was a similar thing, even though it was pen and paper. But what was responsible then, I will mention it later, but let me tell you what happened. When our student got result, even though I had some little doubts, somebody I was expecting anyone getting B2 or B3, I just thought that, oh, hey, I was telling those students, because you've already got your GCE result, that's why you probably dropped the ball. But it was about a week after the result was released. I don't know if you know about this. That there was story that, hey, go and check your result again. WAEC has reviewed the result. And the guy who had B3 mathematics now has A1, which is consistent with what we were expecting. And because of my relationship with WAEC and all that, informally, I said, what happened? What could have happened?
That was manual.
It was pen and paper that time, in 2025 Wassce. Some results were reviewed. Did you hear about this? You confirm it? Yeah. So some students got their results reviewed upwards. And informally, when I found out from WAEC officials that I have a relationship with, what happened? And they said it was what they call serialization. Serialization in exam means that it's an anti-malpractice strategy by WAEC. especially for some core subjects, English, mathematics, economics, so those common subjects. What they do is that all of us are writing mathematics. It's the same if it is 50 questions, for example, 50 objective questions. Serialization strategy is that they will give you series A, I'll get series B, maybe you get series C.
No.
What that means is that it's the same 50 questions, but your own question 1 is my question 10. Yes, they will rearrange the question so that in case anybody is saying, oh boy, what's that's actually number 1, and you write A, you will fail.
Number 1 is different. No, your number 1 is different.
It's the same 50 questions, but they will rearrange it for students as they see them down. So, you know, when you have a strategy, you must also have a system behind it to make sure that you are able to use the same marking scheme for the different schemes, because marking scheme for series A will be different from series B. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if your number 1 is my number 10, it means what you get, if A is the answer in number 1, is my own number 10 that will be A. Meaning that your own marking scheme, not really marking scheme, this called
the marking guide.
The marking guide will be different from my own. What I was told happened in 2025 was that, oh, there was a mix in the
marking guide.
Marking guide, vice versa, for each person's question. And I don't know whether people complained then, because we never complained. The results were close, so I thought it was the student. But those students got their results revised and they got better grades. So I don't know whether that's the same thing that happened this year. WAEC has come up with a publication that, look, some content creators are saying, questioning the integrity of 2026 result, WAEC result and all that. I saw that as grandstanding, because they've really not checked and come back to us what has happened. In Yoruba, we say that if your God of iron, you are sure of it, you use it to hit your head. That was what made me confident that, look, I want to know what happened with this student. I'm a physics graduate in my first degree before I moved to engineering and all that. And sometimes, even though I have full complements of teachers, further maths, mathematics, sometimes I jump into the class, I take some of these subjects myself. I know, even though I'm the proprietor by the grace of God, I know the capability of the. And when I saw this particular result, I was more than confident. I want to know exactly what happened. Something happened. How could a student who scored 282 in JAM, scored 84 in JAM mathematics, got A1 in the GCE that he wrote, he sat for in SS2. Now SS3, he was given D7. I know definitely something went wrong.
Dr. Ogunwale, I want us to separate something. Now, where is this problem coming from? Is it the CBE? When we talk about the exams, you said it's hybrid now, and we're aware that some of these CBEs subjects are written CBE exams, I think math, English or so.
Yeah, they all are
no, so where are the problems coming from? Is it from the CBE exams they wrote? Do they also have problem with the one they written manually? So I want us to separate it, and we focus whether is the CBE that is the problem, or we now have a comprehensive problem with both manual, because you've given some instances where there were problems with CBE, and the exam that you said some of these students wrote, maybe 2022, 2023, the GCE, they were written manually, and there was no problem.
Yeah.
So where are the problems? Is it CBE now? And do you also think maybe even WAEC is not totally ready for the CBE? Do you?
This question actually should be answered by WAEC. We can only suggest, we can only theorize, we can only share our opinion as to what could have gone wrong, all right? But I'm certain the problem is not so much on the part of students. They know what to click, they know what to do. And even, like you said, it's an hybrid, because most of these subjects have their theory part. For example, mathematics theory, there's no way you can do that on CBE.
Okay.
The questions will come on CBE, it will come on the computer system, but they were given answer sheets, normal, to answer their question in theory. It's only objective purely, they have to, click on the computer. So this problem definitely rests in WAEC domain to let us know exactly what happened. So we can only, the only thing again is that when this result came out, I wrote WAEC the following day. I went to their office, they said I should write, I wrote, I sent it to, so it was a week after that other proprietors were contacting me. There's also another school here in Abeokuta that I know the proprietor, I didn't even contact him. I didn't speak to nobody about it because I thought it was peculiar to my own school being a center. Until he told me, he said, it's an elderly person, I mean, older than myself. Oh, but what happened in your school? How are your student results? I said, well, I don't know what happened. He said, yeah, the same thing. This school has been in existence for 17 years. He said, this is the worst result in my school. I said, really? I said, we better take it on with Wassce. I'm on a platform of proprietors, and I was not the one who initiated the discussion. I can mention school in Abeokuta, but I won't. That they also had similar problem, and they also the same experience with us that this was the first time the student also sat for CBE. That's why what runs common in all of us, incidentally, all of us are private schools. Incidentally, all of us presented candidate for CBE for the first time. So that's why we're suspecting that it may have to do with some glitch. Whether Wassce is ready or not, I mean, from the initial tests and of the systems, communicating with their server, downloading and all that, we didn't notice any problem at all. So, but maybe now they are dealing with many schools at the same time. It's only Wassce that can answer exactly what happened during this particular 2026 exam.
Okay, Dr. Adewale,
Yes.
Wassce withheld 1,607. 107,486 results. That's 8.59% of all candidates over malpractice, though lower than last year's 9.7%, but still quite high because it means 1 in every 12 students, had usual results, withheld, by Wassce. So, where is this malpractice really coming from? Do we still have the special miracle centers, or students at fault, parents or schools? Because that number, that's quite humongous.
All right, thank you very much. Let me, immediately you raised the question, I have to go back to the analysis that I've done, because I'll take my time to compare that of 2025 and 2026. And when we look at it, the results that are fully processed for this year, that's 1,834,695. Compared to that of 2025, there is increase of 317,178. Then those ones that are candidates that were processed, those are those ones that I talk about. Those ones that are still being processed, that was still around 116,031 and the like. Then those ones with aid, that was around 167,486. Yes. Now, when we look at the case of examination malpractice is as old as the examining body itself. And I think Wassce, as an examining body, have been trying many ways, to reduce the rate of examination malpractice in all our schools. I use all our school, I'm talking about Nigerian generally. Yes. Because when we look at it in Ogun State has really done something fantastic. There is something we call learner's identification number, which have been given to each student. That is very difficult for you to move from one school to another. Because in the past, that's why I will keep giving it to the right man for the job. That's the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Professor Abayo Narigbabu. Probably maybe he's a fellow because he's a mathematician and he's also a technologist, an educationist par excellence. Immediately they came in, and with the governor as well, they declared what we call state of emergency in education. And there was a lot of destruction. They started with the state education revitalization agenda, from there to digital platform for education revitalization, and the like. Using some of these things to monitor, the students moving to all this miracle center. And I think the Federal Ministry of Education has also adopted this. I was so fortunate I was at the launching in Abuja. That was around 2 months ago, where the Honorable Minister launched a platform that will also be for throughout the country. And Ogun State was giving his own position that, of course, in Ogun State, you have got to, fully digitalize what we call education system in Ogun State. So meaning, if other states can adopt that method, the rate of examination malpractice will definitely reduce. Not drastically, it's going to reduce to BRS minima that you will not be hearing of the issues of exam malpractice again. Because what happened to these students? Some of them felt like someone just, I think, I want to get evidence now, because I don't just want to be talking, but I heard that there are some parents that even, prefer to take some of their children you know, to some of this miracle center.
Yes.
So, but with automation, it will be very difficult. If your child starts an education in a particular school, it has to continue in that school. And the issues of miracle center may likely not exist. When we look at, there was a little drama sometime around the registration of WAEC. Doctor can also bear me witness, where some schools were like, oh, while you are processing your student from SS1, they were not up to 40, but when they want to write SSC, they were almost 400.
Yeah.
And the Honorable Commissioner stood his ground that no, in Ogun State, it will not happen. It will not happen. If your student did not have learner's identification number, they will not be registered for the West African Senior Secondary School examination. And those are those things I think we can do to reduce the rate of examination malpractice in other schools. And likewise, you see sometimes, I don't want to go to this area, but I have to go there. When we talk about the issue of examination malpractice, question linking, you know, students having access to question hours before the exam, having access to question days before the exam, it could not come from teachers. We were not part of WAEC staff. Are we together now? So they also need to, you know, to do a kind of checkmating the process over there, so that the issues of examination malpractice, seeing question day before, will not be this. Then likewise, some of our, what is it called, security agents and the like, we can start doing what we call a lot of internet investigation, where these things are coming from. There are ways they can trace the genesis, the source of some of these questions. For instance, now, if you started seeing a question flying online, it is very easy for technologists to monitor the source of this. They can do this. And if they apprehend one or two of people, I think some of this can also reduce the rate of examination malpractice that WAEC keep complaining about. Of course, when we look at it now, I think WAEC has also put some mechanism in place that has made it to reduce this year compared to that of last year percentage.
All right, Dr. Ogunwale, let's also look at this. Some people are raising that possibly the question should also be checked. Possibly, is it really in the curriculum? Are they too hard? Just like what has been obtainable in the past. When you look at the past questions, and have you as a school also consider this? There's also been an allegation against private schools. You know, when you talk about leakages of questions, that they are mostly the ones, you know, trying to, you know, ensure that they have this one way or the other, you know. But what is your reaction to this second one? You know, question leakages. We know nobody can do it alone. I mean, yes, schools, they can't do it without the help from the inside the source. Now, your reaction to this one, to also ensure they don't paint private school owners as, you know, black. But on the issue of that questions, have you also considered to review the questions, and are they in line with the curriculum, you know, what has been taught these young ones for over 9 months, 1 year academic semester or session?
Personally, as a school owner and proprietor, I have no issues at all with the quality of questions, none at all. The questions, I mean, we have the NERC curriculum, which of course, WAEC also base their own syllabus on. Every blessed year when we are registering students, WAEC will mandate us to also buy the curriculum, to buy the syllabus, meaning that they're giving us the scope from within their questions will be drawn from. I've never, I mean, even though I have limited years of experience in presenting students for Wassce, but I don't think this year's question, when I saw, you know, the theory ones, I have no issues at all that the questions are too hard. I mean, I don't know if Dr. Adewale will agree. UTME is even harder than WAEC.
Of course, yeah. Yes.
And that's part of the reason why I'm saying that if a student that scored 80 in UTME, I mean, why would he now be given D7 in Wassce? So there's no question about whether the questions are coming from outside the curriculum, from outside the syllabus. I have no question about that. As far as that, I can give integrity awards to WAEC. Is within the syllabus. About the malpractices, of course, that's part of the strategy, as he said, that WAEC is putting in place to curb malpractice. Is even this computer-based exam system. Part of the requirement they gave us is that we must have a CCTV focusing on the students where they are writing exam. This is on internet. It is linked to Yaba. Yaba is expected to also monitor our center. That's part of the test they carried out before they certified us as a computer-based center. We have a CCTV. We will have a big screen, 60-inch TV screen that we have to put there. Yes, we have 4 cameras from the 4 angles of the hall, different locations. And we were expected to put it on the network router, which is on the internet. WAEC themselves were the one who gave us the
software.
No, aside from the software, that gave us the what do you call this, modem. The MTN modem.
So that it won't be.
Yes, they don't want a situation whereby you are the one who programmed so they gave us it. We appointed a proctor. That's one of the CBE supervisors now. I mean, the people that go to different schools to supervise exam are supervisors, but for this CBE, they call them proctors. They train them. In fact, I also happen to attend the training with my proctor from the school because I'm an automation systems engineer. I know how computer works and all that. So I wanted to be sure that I know all the security systems are in place. And during exam, because they want to monitor that from Yaba at random. Sometimes if they can't get us, they have a WhatsApp platform of proctors. We say, okay, we want to spotlight your school now. Then they will, I mean, from there they say, yeah, we can see you. Everything is ongoing. Ministry of Education also send people across during exam because because before in Ogun State today, before any school will register with WAEC, it is the Ministry of Education that will first certify you based on what you have on your learner link platform. What do we call it now? No, there's this portal. DIPA, OGTV On this portal, where all students in Ogun State are supposed to have registered. Even every year we keep promoting them on that platform. So it is that OGTV DIPA certificate. That's part of the document you will take to WAEC, because there's that collaboration between WAEC and Ogun State Ministry of Education. Again, it's part of curbing malpractices. So as much as possible, we can see WAEC doing their best, but again, if there's a leak of question, WAEC will have to answer how this happened.
But Dr. Ogunkole, but in terms of, for any CB to be successful, 2 factors, stable power and stable internet connectivity.
Yes.
So how did you fare regarding that? Any challenge of any sorts regarding these 2 factors?
No challenge at all. Part of the requirement from WAEC is, aside from public power, you must have alternative source of power. Yes, either a generator or solar power and inverter systems. We went for inverter because we've always had solar power in the school, because power in our rural area where we operate is not very reliable. So we have 5 kVA inverter system, and with all the system that we are installed, aside from those, our server being on inverter, is also on UPS. In case anything powers down, the UPS back up before you quickly switch over to any alternative source of power that you want to. So there was no, it's part of the requirement. Before WAEC will certify you, you must have alternative source of power. About internet too, there's redundancy, okay? For downloading and uploading of questions and all that, they require us to have a 5G modem. They specifically require us to have MTN. But some schools were given special consideration when they say that MTN is not very strong in our area. Okay, all right. Again, we submitted the modem to WAEC. They programmed it in such a way that it will not allow, they put firewall on it, that it will not allow you to access any other site apart from that dedicated WAEC site where we are downloading and uploading questions and test results. So all those security measures were put there. We submitted it to WAEC, they reprogrammed, even our server. They gave us the specification of server, which has to be a laptop, Core i7, 12th generation and all that. We submitted it to WAEC. Again, they programmed it in such a way that it's dedicated for that exam. After exam, we have to take it back again. Then they release it back to us that pending the next exam, you can use it for whatever you want. So all these security measures and everything was tested. But you know, I'm sorry to refer to the last election when there was a glitch. Okay, so it is not impossible that a similar thing happened this time. Yes, I am not saying it was done deliberately, as some parents are saying. What would WAEC gain from marking students down? No. It's purely technological glitch, for what I believe, not any man's making. It could be an oversight or on the part of somebody within the system, but I believe it couldn't have been deliberate. And like you said, I wouldn't say they were not ready, but maybe they did not anticipate or foresee the kind of problem that eventually arose in the process of marking and grading. That's what I strongly believe must have happened. And it's when WAEC comes back to us, they will tell us, if they would, what actually went wrong.
All right, Dr. Adewale, some people, I know there's should I call it a forum, or there's one school initiative who is already threatening to take legal action against WAEC on this matter, calling for transparency, release of some of the guidelines and stuff. Do you think we should get here? Do you think we need to get to this level? I know some parents are really very, very concerned, and even school owners, administrators are really very concerned. But do you think we should get to this level?
Well, thank you very much. To some extent, just like Dr. have rightly said, there is no way you prepare your child for almost 6 years. And that child will write the exam, and the result is falling below your own expectation, and you will not go.
No, the doctor even mentioned someone who has been in school, that he has gone from primary school.
Yeah, so there is no way such parents will not, agitate, to fight, to get to the root of the matter, or what exactly is wrong. But to some extent, like I said, there is need for us to have enough evidences. Just like Dr. Abraham take a scholar step, let me put it in that way. A scholar step, the normal thing is for you to write the examining body and request for probably, in schools, we call for your paper. This time around, if you cannot call for your paper, you can also ask them to help us to check the back end, and then use a lot of evidences to back this. It's coming up with a lot of evidences. Some of those students have wrote UTME, some of them wrote GCE, which is the same which is the same examination body, and these are the results, and this and that. So by the time you do this and get a feedback from them, or if you don't now get a satisfying feedback from them, that is the time I think it is now necessary for you to take a kind of legal action. But taking a legal action at this moment, you may likely not win, because of course, WAEC have been in existence for years, and then nobody has ever at a point doubt the integrity of this examining body. So if this is coming out this time around, as a school owner, as a parent, one just have to be very careful and to look at some of those, to put some things in place before you take a legal action against the examining body.
Okay. Well, our time is fast spent, but Dr. Ogunkunle, I know that proprietors, you have an association, so are they looking at this collectively? Because I'm seeing some individual efforts from your end. Because when you fight this collectively, I think it's more profound, that way.
And also, let me add this to it. Do you have a time frame that you are looking at that, you said you wrote WAEC, I don't know when, and possibly it's more than a week now. Is there a time frame that you are looking at, and the school, the school owners are looking at least for WAEC to, get back to you? Those who are threatening WAEC with legal action are giving them 14 days. Possibly you are looking at a time frame that so many of these parents can be at rest and know what is next, even if it is the worst news or the good news. What time are you looking at that WAEC should get back to owners?
We have a very good relationship with WAEC, and I think to answer your question specifically, we are not giving any timeline. We have not. We can't mandate them, we can't force them. We just simply, even the letter I wrote was just a simple appeal, asking for a review of the script of the student. I wanted to be able to give them opportunity to take their time to check what happened. Yes, I'm also aware that there's a body, there's a foundation who, yes, like you said, is threatening legal action.
Yeah.
You know, agencies of government must also be taking, we must demand accountability from them, okay? I believe they just wanted a situation whereby WAEC is kind of forced to take a decisive action. I know they brought out a publication saying that we always support integrity and all that, but I believe that publication has come out too early for them to have done a thorough review of the grading process, okay? And just like it happened last year, I don't know whether anybody forced them to, maybe they discovered it before we even knew, when results were upwardly reviewed. Definitely something went wrong. They didn't come out to tell us exactly what went wrong. But I believe this time around that it's now very common. I read in Punch of maybe 2 days ago, where a school in Lagos. And for your information, I also saw complaints from Ghana. You know, WAEC is West Africa.
Yes, yes.
I saw somebody in Ghana that has had the same experience just like we have. So meaning that it has to do with their server, it has to do with something from WAEC. So we have not given them any timeline because we just wanted them to come back to us and tell us exactly what happened without any animosity. We are not fighting the people. We know we are dealing with computer system, and it's possible that this is part of the teaching process, teaching problem of adopting a new technology. Somebody has even said they should go and learn from JAM. JAM has been doing JAM has been doing this, and I don't think since our students have been writing JAM, I've never had cause to doubt the result.
We also had some challenge, you know, I think last 2 years, thereabouts.
And that is why I wanted to give it to the JAM registrar.
Who came out,
you know,
exactly, and told us,
so I think WAEC too, so sorry, I think WAEC can also, you know, look into the bank and then look into their server, check every
and truthfully come out to tell us if there was a problem.
Something wrong. It doesn't take them anything. One thing I know is that the crime will only be for a while, but you have to, you know, giving people impression, not to dent the integrity of the examining body.
Okay, thank you so much.
John, we end up this point. We need to stress this point. WAEC is dealing with destiny of students.
Yeah, exactly.
There are so many students, like I've just told you, that are just waiting for these results to be able to proceed to higher institutions. Some people's hopes have been dashed, especially those with the, now. Virtually all my students are having to go back to their GCE result. They're not using this WAEC result because they had much better results. In GCE, they set for in SS2.
That's why it's always, you know, advantageous to sit for.
Exactly.
There's NECO, there's WAEC, GC, NECO, GC. So you can sit for the 4.
Please help us have a look at it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Peter Ogunkule, school administrator, and Dr. Kayode Adewale, educationist. We hope to hear from WAEC also pretty soon. We hope they look into this and address that. And next year, 2027 Wassce, we hope this will not be a major concern. So thank you so much. So this is the size of the show today. Thanks so much for watching. New Dawn returns on Friday with another set of anchors. Bye for now.